1. Let me tell you about this fascinating 1985 Chevy Silverado I found on Craigslist. Now, $15,975 might seem steep for an 85, but hear me out. We're looking at what appears to be a really clean example with just 30,087 miles on the clock, which is incredibly low for a truck of this age. The seller's listing it in excellent condition, and honestly, these square-body Silverados have become quite collectible lately. It's rocking a 6-cylinder engine paired with a manual transmission, which is a pretty cool combo for the purists out there. The 4WD system makes it practical, and that original white paint gives it that classic timeless look. What's really catching my eye is that clean title and super low mileage. That's pretty rare for these workhorses. Look, I've got to be straight with you. While the asking price is on the higher end, these square-body Chevys have been climbing in value. If it's as clean as described, it could be a solid investment, especially considering how hard it is to find these with such low mileage. Just make sure to check for any hidden rust or mechanical issues, as even excellent condition trucks from the 80s can have their quirks. 2. Let me shoot straight with you about this 1985 Chevy Suburban I found on Craigslist for $5,500. This is one of those situations where we need to look past the excellent condition claim and face some real talk. While the 66,000 miles is impressively low for an 85, there are some serious red flags we can't ignore. First off, and this is a big one, it's got a missing title. That's always a headache waiting to happen, even with inspection and registration receipts. The 6.2L diesel V8 and automatic transmission combo is actually pretty desirable. But here's the kicker. This Suburban has been sitting for 4 years. Any diesel guy will tell you that's not good news. The seller's being upfront that it needs to be towed, needs batteries, fresh diesel, and an oil change just to get started. Being a one-owner vehicle with power windows and locks is nice. But remember, we're dealing with a non-running 38-year-old diesel that's been sleeping for 4 years. $5,500 might seem tempting for a loaded Suburban with low miles. But between the missing title and the unknown condition of the diesel engine after sitting, you're looking at a project that could either be a diamond in the rough or a money pit. If you're mechanically inclined and patient enough to deal with the title situation, it might be worth a look. But go in with your eyes wide open. This isn't a run-and-drive situation. 3. Let's talk about this 1983 Chevy S10 Durango that's popped up at a dealership for $13,500. These first-gen S10s are becoming increasingly collectible, and this one's got some interesting features that make it stand out. It's an extra cab 4x4 model, which is a pretty desirable configuration, powered by the 2.8L V6, paired with an automatic transmission. With 75,000 miles on the clock, it's definitely been used but not abused. The red paint with gray interior and bucket seats combo is pretty classic for these trucks. Being a Durango trim level means it came with some extra creature comforts compared to the base models. Now let's be real about the price. $13,500 is definitely on the higher end for an 83 S10, even considering it's a dealer sale with additional fees coming. However, clean, well-maintained first-gen S10s, especially 4x4 extra cabs, are getting harder to find. The clean title is definitely a plus. What's particularly interesting is that this is a 83 model, one of the earlier years for the S10 line. If it's as clean as the listing suggests, it could be a solid investment, though you might have some negotiating room on that price. Just remember, you're dealing with a 40-year-old truck, so a thorough mechanical inspection would be wise before pulling the trigger. 4. Let me tell you about this absolutely fascinating 1971 Chevy C10 I found on Craigslist. At $17,500, we're looking at something pretty special here. A documented one-owner truck with some serious history. Being #36 off the assembly line adds a unique piece of provenance that you don't often find. The heart of this beauty is the original matching numbers 292 inline 6, paired with a 3-speed manual floor shifter. That's a bulletproof combination that these trucks were famous for. What really catches my attention is the ownership history. One owner since new, purchased from Ciocca Chevrolet in York, Pennsylvania, and garage kept. That's the kind of history that makes collectors' ears perk up. The 105,000 miles might seem high, but here's where it gets good. This truck was professionally restored about 10 years ago, including a powder-coated paint job. That's a serious investment in preservation, and powder coating provides excellent protection against rust. The seller claims it's rust-free, which is rare for these old C10s. Look, I've got to be straight with you. $17,500 isn't cheap for a 71 C10, but this isn't your average work truck. Between the documented history, professional restoration, original drivetrain, and that powder-coated finish, you're looking at a well-preserved piece of American truck history. The inline-6 might not be as sought after as a V8, but it's arguably more reliable and period-correct for this truck. 5. Let me tell you about this interesting 1985 Chevy C10 I spotted on Craigslist for $5,500. This one's got a bit of a hot rod vibe going with its 6/8 lowering setup and C-notched frame. Under the hood, there's a 305 V8 that's had some recent attention. We're talking rebuilt top end, new head gaskets, manifold, carb, and distributor. That's paired with a TH350 automatic transmission, which is a solid combo for these trucks. The seller's been busy with upgrades. There's a fresh paint job in blue, new dual exhaust with thunder mufflers, new shocks, radiator hoses, and header gaskets. Inside, you're getting new door panels and a fresh dash, though it's worth noting it needs a seat cover. The 59,197 miles showing could be original, but as always with these older trucks, you'll want to verify that. Now let's keep it real. The seller mentions it still needs some work, which is something to consider. With lowered trucks, you'll want to check the quality of the suspension work and make sure everything's properly aligned. The recent top-end rebuild is promising, but you might want to ask about the bottom end of the engine. At $5,500 OBO, you're getting a partially restored square body with some performance upgrades and a clean title. It's not a perfect truck, but the price point seems fair for what you're getting, especially considering the recent mechanical work. Just be prepared to put in some additional effort to get it exactly where you want it. 6. Let me tell you about this incredible 1950 Ford F3 that's caught my eye on Craigslist for $19,500. Now, there's a small typo in the listing title showing it as 59, but this is actually a 1950 model. And folks, this is one special piece of American truck history. What we're looking at here is a heavy-duty 3/4-ton pickup that's undergone a serious 3-year frame-off restoration. The heart of this beauty is the legendary 239 flathead V8 paired with a 4-speed manual transmission. That's the kind of powertrain combination that built America right there. Dave, who's been in the classic car business for 27 years, makes a compelling point. At $19,500, you're getting this truck for about a third of what the restoration likely cost. And when someone does a frame-off restoration, we're talking about every nut and bolt being addressed. These F3s were workhorses in their day, but finding one in like-new condition is increasingly rare. The seller's description of it being about as nice as they come suggests this isn't just another restored classic, it's a show-quality piece. The fact that it runs and drives good is crucial because some restored vehicles look great, but don't perform as well as they should. For someone looking for a turnkey classic Ford truck from the immediate post-war era, this could be a solid investment. These F3s are getting harder to find, especially in this condition, and the flathead V8 has a huge following in the classic car community. 7. Let me tell you about this sweet 1972 GMC Sierra Grande that's up for grabs at $20,500. This is one of those trucks that makes you stop and stare. It's a trophy winner, and I can see why. The blue paint really pops on these early 70s body lines, and being a Kentucky truck originally, it's escaped the major rust issues that plague many of these classics. Under the hood, you're getting the original 350 V8 with its matching transmission. That's always a big plus for collectors. The sellers put some serious work into this beauty. New carpet, seat belts, grille, wheels and tires, brake booster, and exhaust. With 61,000 miles showing, it's got relatively low mileage for its age. Now let's keep it real. The seller mentions it could use a new core support eventually, so that's something to factor into your plans. But when they say little to no rust, That's huge for a 51-year-old truck, especially considering how prone these are to rust issues. The firm price of $20,500 might seem steep to some, but for a trophy-winning Sierra Grande in this condition, with original drivetrain and recent updates, it's in the ballpark of current market values. The seller's pretty clear about their terms: cash, in-person only, which is pretty standard for vehicles of this caliber. 8. Let me tell you about this wicked 1966 Chevy C20 long bed that's popped up for $17,250. This isn't your grandfather's work truck anymore. Someone's put some serious thought and style into this build. Let's break down what makes this C20 special. First off, it's running a fresh 350 V8 paired with a 350 turbo automatic. That's a bulletproof combination right there. But check this out. It's got a long stick floor shifter with an 8-ball knob, adding some serious hot rod vibes. The flat black paint with flames on the hood? That's pure attitude right there. The seller's gone through this truck pretty thoroughly. We're talking all new disc brake conversion, huge upgrade from the original drums, fresh rear end, and a custom bed floor. The interior's gotten plenty of love too: new upholstery, carpet, bucket seats, and some modern touches like a Bluetooth radio and LED lighting. Those chrome door thresholds and new weather stripping show attention to detail. With 80,000 miles on the clock, this C20 has been around. But with all these fresh components, that's not really a concern. The long bed format gives you plenty of practical space, while the custom touches make it a real head-turner at car shows or cruise nights. At $17,250, or best offer, you're getting a well-sorted custom C20 that combines classic looks with modern conveniences. It's not a numbers-matching restoration, but rather a thoughtfully modified cruiser that you can actually use and enjoy. 9. Let me tell you about this killer 1956 Ford F100 that's up for grabs at $28,000. This isn't your typical restoration. We're looking at a thoughtfully modified classic with some serious upgrades that blend old-school cool with modern reliability. The heart of this build is a rebuilt 302 V8, and they've got the build sheet to prove it. That's always good documentation to have. They've modernized the engine bay with a serpentine belt system and MSD ignition for reliable power delivery. The powertrain's been beefed up with a Ford 9-inch rear end. That's basically the gold standard for rear ends in the hot rod world. The body's got some custom touches with a small chop, and they've included the templates for the glass. That's important because custom glass can be tricky on chopped tops. The Dodge torsion bar front end is an interesting choice that should give it nice handling characteristics. They've done the suspension right with new lowering springs in the rear, and the brake system's all fresh with new master cylinder and booster. Modern conveniences haven't been forgotten. You're getting vintage-style AC built into the dash. That's a big deal in an old truck. Electric door locks, and even a flat screen with backup camera. The tilt hood is a nice touch for easy engine access, and that new stainless gas tank means no fuel system headaches. At $28,000, you're getting a well-thought-out custom F100 that's ready to cruise. The seller claims no rust, which is huge for a 56, and with all these upgrades, you're looking at a truck that you can actually drive and enjoy while still turning heads at shows. 10. Let me tell you about this interesting 1983 Chevy Short Bed Custom that's up for $18,000. This is one of those builds that's got some serious muscle under the hood, with a built 454 big block. That's going to make some serious power in a short bed truck. The bodywork is where things get really interesting. We're looking at a custom build with shaved doors, that means no exterior door handles for that super clean look, and a custom-cut bed and tailgate area. The green paint job is apparently beautiful, according to the seller, and these square-body Chevys do look fantastic when properly painted. Now, here's where we need to keep it real. The interior needs to be finished. The seller's straight up about this, saying the buyer will need to complete the interior to their liking. That could be either a blessing or a curse, depending on your perspective. On one hand, you can make it exactly how you want it, but on the other, you're looking at additional investment beyond the $18,000 asking price. The odometer shows 10,000 miles, but on a custom build like this, that's likely since the rebuild rather than original miles. With a built 454 and the custom body mods, this isn't your typical work truck anymore. It's been transformed into a showpiece. For someone looking for a custom square-body Chevy with serious power potential and unique body mods, this could be interesting. Just remember to factor in the cost of completing that interior when considering the price. 11. Let me tell you about this intriguing 1970 GMC pickup that's up for $9,500. This one's got a great story. It's been in the same family since new, with the current seller actually being there when his father purchased it originally. That kind of history is pretty special in the classic truck world. Under the hood, it's a V8 paired with a Muncie SM 465 4-speed manual. That's a heavy-duty transmission that's known for its durability. The odometer shows 43,611 miles, but it is rolled over, and the seller notes about 6,000 miles since a 2011 refurbishment. Now let's keep it real here. The truck currently isn't running. The seller's honest about the situation. There's an issue with the carburetor overflowing, possibly due to pressure problems or carburetor issues. That's something you'll need to sort out, but carb work isn't typically a deal breaker on these old trucks. The good news is that it reportedly has very little rust, which is huge for a 53-year-old truck. It's a long bed model with some interesting features like radio delete, and it comes with some valuable original parts, including hubcaps, air snorkel, new rear brake drums, and the original steering wheel. At $9,500, considering the family history, the 2011 refurbishment, and the included original parts, it could be a solid buy for someone willing to sort out the carburetor issues. These early 70s GMCs are getting harder to find, especially with documented single-family ownership. 12. Let me tell you about this cool 1957 Ford F100 that's up for grabs at $14,500. This one's got some interesting features that make it stand out. It's a short wide bed configuration with a desirable big back window, which is a sought-after combination among F100 enthusiasts. Under the hood, you're getting the 223 straight 6, but this isn't your average work truck setup. It's been upgraded with a Clifford manifold and a 2-barrel carb, plus it's running split exhaust manifolds with dual glass packs. That means this inline 6 probably sounds pretty sweet. These modifications should give it a bit more pep than the stock configuration. Now let's be honest about the condition. There's some rust to address. The seller's upfront about rust under the steps, in the door jambs, and along the passenger door, bottom rocker panel. They say it's not terrible, but with 50s trucks, you'll want to inspect these areas carefully as they can be rust-prone spots. On the positive side, it's got new tires and wheels, a nice interior, and all the glass is in good shape. Replacement glass can be expensive on these. The grille and front bumper are nice, which is important because these parts can be pricey to replace or restore. Plus, it comes with a clean Oregon title. At $14,500, you're getting a modified F100 that runs and drives well, with some desirable features like the big back window. The rust issues need to be considered in the price, but if you're looking for a classic F100 with some character and a bit more performance than stock, this could be worth checking out. 13. Let me tell you about this sweet 1984 Chevy Silverado 4x4 that's up for $12,900 in Riverside, California. This is one of those survivor square bodies that's getting harder to find. We're talking a short bed, regular cab 4x4 and a classic red-on-red color combo. Under the hood, you've got the 305 TBI V8 with the original automatic transmission, showing just 79,000 miles. Being a California truck is a huge plus, as these typically have less rust than trucks from other regions. The seller's been honest about the minor rust in the rear quarters, which is indeed common on these trucks, but they're emphasizing a solid frame, which is crucial. What's really interesting is the recent mechanical work: new gas tank, fuel pump, injectors, brakes, and front shocks. That's addressing a lot of the common issues these trucks develop. The 4x4 system reportedly works perfectly, which is another big plus. It's got manual windows and locks, which means fewer things to go wrong, though the factory AC needs an R134 conversion. The price at $12,900 might seem steep to some, but clean square body 4x4s, especially short beds, have been climbing in value. The seller's pretty clear about their terms. They want cash, cashier's check, or, interestingly, gold. That's a new one. For someone looking for a well-maintained, mostly original square-body 4x4 with documented recent maintenance, this could be worth checking out. Just be prepared to address that AC conversion and keep an eye on those rear quarter panels. 14. Let me tell you about this 1967 Chevy C20 that's up for grabs at $15,500. First thing that catches your eye is that orange paint. These old Chevys really pop in bright colors. Being a C20, this is the 3/4 ton model, which means it was built a bit tougher than its C10 little brother. The seller states it's running and driving in good condition and has been restored, though they're pretty light on the specific details. It's showing 57,603 miles on the odometer, but as with most classics of this age, you'll want to verify if those are original miles. The V8/manual transmission combo is a desirable setup in these trucks, offering both power and driver engagement. Now I've got to keep it real here. While the seller claims excellent condition, without more detailed information about the restoration work, what's original and what's been replaced or updated, you'll definitely want to do a thorough inspection. These trucks are known for rust issues in certain areas, so that's something to check carefully. At $15,500, you're in the ballpark for a restored 67 C20. But given the limited information in the listing, you'll want to ask some important questions about the restoration process, mechanical condition, and any recent work done. 15. Let me tell you about this interesting 1977 Chevy Stepside that's up for $12,500. This isn't your average 77. We're looking at a custom build with some serious recent upgrades that deserve attention. The biggest highlight here is that fresh GM Crate 350 small block with less than 100 miles on it. That's basically a brand new heart for this classic, paired with a rebuilt 350 turbo transmission. When someone drops a Crate motor in, it shows they're serious about reliability and performance. The seller's gone through this truck pretty thoroughly. We're talking new brakes, shocks, lights, tires, gas tank, and exhaust system. That 4-core radiator is a nice touch. It'll keep that fresh 350 running cool. The galvanized 2-door gas bed is another interesting feature, and that small lift kit gives it a nice stance. The brown paint gives it that classic 70s vibe, and being a stepside, it's got those classic flowing fenders that many enthusiasts love. The fact that it comes with extra new parts is a nice bonus. Always good to have spares for these classics. At $12,500, considering the fresh Crate motor alone, those aren't cheap. Plus all the new components and the rebuilt transmission, you're looking at a truck where most of the expensive work has already been done. This could be a solid buy for someone wanting a reliable classic truck with modern running gear. 16. Let me tell you about this fascinating 1957 Ford Ranchero project that's up for $15,000. This one's got a touching story. It was someone's father's dream build that unfortunately wasn't completed before he passed away. But man, did he put some serious thought and quality parts into it. What makes this Ranchero special is the mix of original character and smart upgrades. It's been mildly customized with a slight lowering job and rake stance, but the paint appears to be original. Yes, with some dings, but that adds character on a 57. The seller's honest about it being a project, specifically needing engine work to complete. Here's where it gets interesting. It comes with a Thunderbird ECZ high-performance engine, currently pulled and needs rebuilding, with a HiPo intake and WCFB carb. But check out these upgrades. There's a T5 5-speed transmission, a fantastic modern upgrade, that's ready to bolt up, brand new front disc brake conversion, new exhaust system with electric cutouts, that's a cool touch, and a power rack and pinion steering setup. None of these upgrades have seen road time yet. They're all fresh. The underside has been properly treated with paint and rubberized undercoating, and it's got a custom tonneau cover. With 22,375 miles showing, rolled over, the key focus here is really on the quality of the upgrades, rather than the mileage. At $15,000, you're getting a partially completed project with some seriously desirable upgrades already done. The main task is rebuilding that T-Bird motor and doing the final assembly. The seller's right. Completed and running, these can fetch $25K or more. 17. Let me tell you about this sweet 1978 Ford Ranger that's up for grabs at $8,000. Now, this is what we call a true survivor. We're talking original paint and interior, except for the carpet, which is pretty rare for a truck of this age. The seller mentions this is a rare trim level, with only about 4,500 ever made, which makes this even more special. Under the hood, you've got the 351 modified V8 with 152,000 original miles. And here's the good news. It's running strong and doesn't burn oil. That's a testament to how well this truck's been maintained. The transmission was rebuilt about a year and a half ago, which is a major plus since that's usually a costly repair you won't have to worry about for a while. The seller's the second owner, and they've clearly taken care of this beauty. They installed custom seat covers from day one, which means the original upholstery underneath should be well preserved. New tires and wheels were added about 2,000 miles ago, so you won't have any immediate expenses there. What's particularly appealing is that this truck apparently gets compliments wherever it goes. That's always a good sign for a classic. The fact that it goes down the road straight suggests it's been well maintained mechanically, not just cosmetically. At $8,000, considering the rare trim level, the solid 351M engine, fresh transmission rebuild, and original condition, this could be a solid buy for someone looking for a distinctive classic Ford truck that's ready to drive and enjoy. 18. Let me tell you about this interesting 1955 Chevy 3100 Apache that's up for $25,000. This isn't your typical 55. We're looking at a custom build that combines classic looks with modern functionality, sitting on a newer Chevy 4X4 frame. That's a pretty cool upgrade that gives this classic some real off-road capability. Under the hood, you've got the tried-and-true combination of a 350 small-block Chevy paired with a 350 automatic transmission. That's a reliable, easy-to-maintain powertrain that you can find parts for anywhere. The truck's got some nice custom touches like one-piece windows and a shaved firewall, which gives the engine bay a clean look. The seller's done quite a bit of recent work. We're talking new grille, bumper guards, hubcaps, mirrors, fuel pump, water pump, starter, spark plugs, and a fresh oil change. The power steering and power brakes are modern conveniences that make this classic much more enjoyable to drive. Now let's keep it real. This is a project that's not quite finished. The interior needs to be completed, so you'll need to factor that into your budget beyond the $25,000 asking price. The odometer's broken, so the 5,500 miles shown probably aren't meaningful. For someone looking for a unique 55 3100 with 4x4 capabilities, this could be interesting. It's got the classic Apache looks with modern running gear, though you'll need to be ready to tackle that interior work. 19. Let me tell you about this 1971 Ford F100 project truck that's up for $10,000. And folks, I've got to keep it real with you here. This one needs some work. The seller's being upfront about its condition, listing it as fair, and there are some significant issues to address. The most interesting part of this truck is its heart. It's running a 1976 460 big block, which is a monster of an engine when running right. However, the seller notes it needs valve work, so that's going to be one of your first projects. These 460S are fantastic engines when sorted, but valve work isn't a small job. Here's where it gets tricky. There are transmission issues, and the truck currently needs to be towed. The seller's done some recent work, including new brakes and a new starter, but this is definitely not a drive-at-home situation. With 90,000 miles showing, the mechanical needs aren't surprising for its age. At $10,000, you need to carefully consider what you're getting into. You're looking at valve work on a big block engine and transmission repairs at minimum, plus whatever other surprises might be lurking. These early 70s F100S are desirable trucks, but this one's definitely in project status. The good news is it comes with a clean title, and these trucks have great potential when restored. But be honest with yourself about whether you're ready for a project of this scale. 20. Let me tell you about this 1971 Chevy C20 that's up for $10,000, and I've got to keep it real with you on this one. The seller's being pretty transparent about both the good and the not-so-good aspects of this heavy-duty pickup. First, the good stuff. It's got a 350 V8 that's apparently strong enough to tow a 10,000-pound boat, which is impressive for these old trucks. The seller's been using it regularly, including trips to Riverside, so it's not just sitting around collecting dust. Plus, you're getting some valuable extras with the purchase: a built 350 motor, a driver's door window, and a rear solid back window. Now let's talk about the issues that need addressing. The truck needs a new fuse box, which isn't typically a huge job, but definitely needs to be done for safety. The top of the cab needs replacement due to water damage. That's a more significant repair that you'll want to tackle before it gets worse. The seller bought it for $12,000 in 2020, so the $10,000 asking price reflects these needed repairs. The odometer shows 20,000 but has rolled over, so actual mileage is unknown. However, the fact that it's been regularly used for dump runs and boat towing suggests it's mechanically sound, despite its age. At $10,000, you're getting a working C20 with some issues to address, plus some valuable parts including that built 350 engine. It's not perfect, but it could be a solid project for someone willing to tackle the repairs.